Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Got one from when I was clearing a swamp on our property. It's mid-October in North Florida. I'm knee-deep in mud, cutting cypress knees. My chainsaw blade dulls. I go to change it out. I slosh my way back to the truck tailgate. I forgot a tool. Shit. I walk 100 yards to the shed. I hang around for a few minutes and find what I need. On my way back, I notice at a distance mud all over the side of the truck. My chainsaw is missing from the tailgate. Fucking neighbors. I notice tracks in the mud. I grab a gun from the cab and follow. What's left of the swamp water is murky. I notice the chainsaw in the murk. I put the gun against a tree and dredged it out. Cursing, I look back at the water. The face of a chubby girl is staring back at me. I'm so angry I go off and blast her verbally for a little over a minute. Wait a second. About that time, she fades out of sight, waving. I never went out to clear land alone around here again. There is still a swamp out there and it no longer drains or holds very much. I never told my folks, but my dad always claimed to see people moving around the woods when he was a kid. North Florida guy from the first post here. Got a story from when we went on a Boy Scout trip years back. Cape San Blas Day Camp. We spend most of the day being kids, screaming and hollering in the brush. The sun is going down, and we get to playing hide and seek. Me and a kid named Josh decide to run off into the thick brush and hide in small dunes. We're sitting for a few minutes, and hear someone coming. We slowly back over another dune, and down below smaller palm trees. Josh, who was looking where we went as I looked back, goes, "What the hell?" I turn around to yell at him for talking and see what he is talking about. There are small tents, made of trashy-looking clothes and tarps. The biggest wouldn't have been more than 2 feet by 2 feet. Drink and snack wrappers are all over. No prints besides ours. We went back to camp and told the leaders and the other 3 scouts. No one would go look at it because of dinner. Later in the week, I can't sleep. I'm sharing a tent with Josh. He taps me on the shoulder while I'm sitting there reading with a flashlight. "Dude, the raccoons are all over the place." I look outside. Sure enough, about 30 of them. Some are wandering around. Others are going through coolers. Several are sitting on the table. What are they doing? Beats me. I realize they are setting the table with stuff out of the supply tent. We sat and watched them have a feast and go through everything like they owned the place. I've never seen that many in one place nor seen them use plates and utensils. The scouts, of course, got blamed for pulling a prank and had to clean all of it up. We found drink tubes all around the woods and couldn't find the miniature camp afterwards. Still not the strangest thing to happen during scouts or at the beach.
Raccoons are the special forces of the animal kingdom.
You are thinking of wolves, which here is a wolf story from recently where we were being stupid at work. This last December, it was colder than a well digger's ass. I'm driving the work truck around, wasting time between deliveries. I'm on a back road that skirts an old boys' prison school. Out of nowhere, a red and white wolf dashes down the road ahead of us. Not a coyote. It's at least a foot taller than even the mixed breed ones I've seen. We get to the part of the road it crossed. There's water on both sides. I see red fur moving on the other side of the pond on the left side. Bored as shit, I decide I'm going to go look for it. I know it sounds dumb, But wild red wolves are supposed to be extinct in Florida. I'm also a big guy, and so is my co-worker. We also carry a gun and a crowbar for work. We were also bored as shit. We park and get out with a shotgun and a crowbar. We make it around the pond and find some blood. Watching each other's backs, we follow the trail. There's a Rottweiler torn to shit. Blood and guts everywhere. He's dead, Jim. The body is fresh. Not warm, but fresh. A growl. Oh shit. We walk back to the truck, watching each other's backs. We pass a guy walking farther down the road. He says nothing when we tell him what we saw. It was pretty freaky when it was happening. Cops looked at us like we were special ed when we told them how we found the dog.
Be a Boy Scout back in the mid-90s, maybe 10 years old. The whole troop goes on a camping trip up in the Adirondacks, New York, which is literally millions of acres of not much but woods and low mountains, with only small towns scattered throughout. No real big cities. So it's night, and we are in the bunkhouse. Me and a few other friends decide to follow this old trail up into the hills behind the cabin. We walked for quite a while up into the mountain, but we knew we wouldn't get lost because it was a straight path the whole way. We see a light up ahead. We come to a huge clearing way up the mountain and see, I shit you not, a deer standing on its hind legs, dancing around a massive bonfire, playing some kind of flute. The music coming from that flute was absolutely eerie, unlike anything I had ever heard before. It sounded like something I'd expect the Druids of Stonehenge played long ago. I knew this was not a person in a costume because, Jesus Christ, the way it danced. It was like one of those crazy flailing inflatable tube men dancing in the wind. Very strange, lurching motions that no person could make. I remember its antlers were massive. Then it turned and looked at us. It looked right at us and screamed like a fucking, I don't know what. Seriously. I still wake up in a cold sweat now, nearly 20 years later, hearing that scream. We turned and ran down that mountain so fast, I think we could have set an Olympic world record. We heard it trying to talk, trying to call out to us. It sounded like a dog trying to speak. It was so horrible to hear. It sounded like it was saying stop and come back. We bolted into the bunkhouse in tears and woke everyone. The scoutmaster didn't believe it, of course, but he called the local ranger who went up there in a jeep that same night and came back saying he saw nothing, no fire or anything. The next day, before leaving, a couple of us went back up there and saw the fire pit, now smoldering ash and deer tracks.
Not paranormal, but still creepy. Happened in August of 2013. I'm coming home from a friend's house. It's 11:30 p.m. The garage door is broken, so I have to walk around the house to the back door. I'm never scared walking around at night in my neighborhood. It's a nice subdivision in a nice quiet town. I slam my car door and walk around the back of the house singing. I think I step in dog shit. I look down and say, "God damn it," and look back up. Someone is looking in our back bathroom window. I think it's somebody from high school playing around. I just graduated 2 months prior. I say, "Hey man, what you doing?" and kinda chuckle. He turns to look at me. It's not a high schooler. This dude is at least 6'5" with deep-set and sunken eyes, his face painted black. He gives me the most chilling stare of my life. I'll never forget it. I start screaming, "Hey, get the fuck out of here!" The guy mumbles incoherently, steps away from the window and slinks off into the darkness. No one has their porch lights on, so I didn't see where he went. I'm worried he's gonna come around the other side of the house and stab me or some shit. I'm banging on the house, screaming to let me in. I'm eventually let in. I freak out and tell my parents, and we call the cops. They come and check it out. It happens about 15 more times to other people in the neighborhood over the course of a few months until the police catch him in December. The dumbass left tracks in the snow leading right up to his house. It's not paranormal, but it still scared the shit out of me. The dude was one creepy fucker, and he looked like a crackhead.
Okay. This happened around 2 years ago in Elizabethtown, North Carolina. My friend's family had a little vacation house down a sketchy-ass dirt road, with nothing but woods surrounding the back. Be me, 16. My friend's family just got a new camper, and we are staying in it. The main house is pretty close, but far enough away that we feel independent. It's dark as shit outside, so we decide to watch some too spooky videos. Around 3 a.m., we start hearing his dog bark. We assume it's a squirrel or something. Shortly after, we hear the dog yelp in pain. This shit is suspicious. We waited for about 5 minutes because we were hella spooked. We look outside. We can't see shit, but we can see his dad looking out from his porch. Apparently, he came out when he heard the dog barking. He said he saw something standing near the camper. Then it quickly moved away into the woods. We look for the dog. It's lying under the camper, completely unhurt. The next morning, we look at the place where it went into the woods. A tree is scratched to hell, leaking dark sap, and a white plus had been painted on the tree. We never stay in the camper again. Pick related. It's the road to the house.
I have several. I'll post one for now. Be me, around 13 or 14. I got Fallout 3 Game of the Year as an honor roll present or whatever. And I'm jamming out, playing it or whatever on my PC. I'm completely home alone. My family went out to dinner or something. So I'm sitting alone in my room, playing Fallout 3 and having the time of my life. I live in a 2-story house. I hear somebody running around down the hall in my parents' room. The sound is a lot more audible because the structure of the house is older, built circa 1991 or 92. I assume it's my cat, Tara. She gets hyper around the evening and she loves to randomly run around. I look in the direction of the sound, which is by my bed and door. I see Tara chilling out on my bed. What the fuck? .mp3. I get up to investigate. I open my bedroom door. The lights are completely out, and I turn them on. Nobody's in the room. I thought it was burglars because I was a bit paranoid since I got broken into the year before. I check all the closets, my parents' bathroom, underneath the bed, everything. Ha! Just my imagination, whatever. I brush it off, leave the room, and go back to Fallout 3. The running and footstep noises persist. What the fuck? I grab my cat, bring all my dogs inside, and run downstairs to the living room because fuck being upstairs. I try to calm myself down by eating some ramen and watching some movies. The running and footstep noises persist. I sit there listening. It's fucking horrifying. I'm also completely home alone, so ghosts aren't really appealing right now. It continues until my family comes home. This isn't even the first nor the last paranormal instance in my house. Same anon. I can tell you about experiences my friends had at my place. My friends say they see shadows running between my bedroom, which is on the opposite left side of the hall upstairs, to the other side in my parents' bedroom on the right side of the hallway. My friends claim that if they're in my room, alone, they have an unsettling feeling they describe as the paranoia after watching a horror film. They can't be near the closet because there is a lot of negative energy inside of it. A friend says she can sense energy by the closet and in the corner of my bedroom. Also, here's an anecdote from my friend. Let's call her Kay. A friend was spending the night. She was downstairs in my dad's office using his computer so she could Skype because the internet on her laptop was wonky and wouldn't connect with my Wi-Fi. She told me she heard laughing, someone playing an eerie tune on the piano, and running water in my second living room, which was right next to my dad's office. This all happened well past midnight, and my family was asleep except me, Kay, and another friend who was also spending the night, who we'll call C. Kay also reported she heard footsteps running up and down stairs constantly. Kay eventually ran upstairs to my bedroom, terrified, and told me she couldn't be downstairs by herself anymore. I went downstairs myself to investigate this. I was curious because a lot of weird shit has happened in my house before. Nothing. Completely dark. No running water noises, no eerie piano. Nothing. All I have downstairs in the second living room is an old 70-year-old piano, which is badly out of tune. She hasn't been to my house since, and that was 5 years ago. All right, so about 7 or 8 years ago, when I first moved into my new house, I kinda grew this weird affinity for ghosts, Ouija boards, and basically anything that was paranormal but also seemingly plausible. I was about 9 or 10 at the time. I got into this show called Ghost Hunters, which essentially fueled my affinity for the paranormal. At the time, I had a friend with a mutual interest. I bought myself a Ouija board, or at least my dad did, about 3 months after moving into my new place. I hardly touched it, and my friends would make a bit of a joke out of it. At the time, I didn't understand the risks of actually having one in your house until I was much, much older. Now, I'm more or less paying the consequences for that. In August of 2007, on a Friday, I was in 4th grade, and I made a few friends. Katie in particular, and I both had this interesting affinity for my Ouija board. We both thought it was just a hoax, but at the same time, we were very superstitious about it. We goofed around with it. We didn't take it seriously, and we were both sitting alone in my dark, negative energy-infested closet. Christ, no wonder it's full of negative energy now. We spoke. I don't know if it was Katie tricking me or not, but we spoke with a spirit named Anna. In my mind, I imagined her as a relic of the 1920s, with short black hair and all dressed up like working women of those times. Not necessarily a flapper or anything. I'm not sure if this is accurate, but this is what I thought up with my bizarre imagination at the time. We kept goofing around with it up until my parents told us we were going out for dinner. We didn't touch the board for the rest of that weekend. Around that same time, my dog Sasha was getting ill. My parents and I suspected it was because she was around 15 years old and it was past her time to pass, but it just seemed off. At least in retrospect, it seemed off. Fur on her tail was falling off because she was chewing on it. I never found out or even understood why that happened. My parents thought she was dying of cancer or old age. We never really found out, so we just assumed the latter. I mean, she was 15 years old after all, which is around 100 in dog years. But that following Monday, the same weekend my friend and I goofed around with a Ouija board, Sasha died. My mom found her dead in the backyard underneath Sasha's favorite tree in the yard. My mom threw a tarp over her. It was horrifying for a kid. However, I still contemplate whether or not Sasha's death and my goofing around with the board are related. I think it is because a few weeks ago, I had an intense nightmare of seeing Sasha again. The next morning, while taking a piss, I saw her name carved into the bathroom wall. I was fucking freaked out. Pick related.
Parents are divorced. Mum lives in a house that has had some paranormal shit going on. Random knocking on doors, but nobody there. Feeling of somebody watching you. Ice-cold water puddles left in random places with no leak or any logical explanation. One night I'm sleeping in the downstairs living area on the floor where most of this shit occurs. It's about 4 a.m. I'm sleeping and suddenly wake up very abruptly. I'm laying there wide awake, somewhat confused how or why. I notice a blue ball in the air, floating very slowly towards the glass door to the backyard. I literally can't believe my eyes. I'm laying there, paralyzed in shock, thinking I'm still dreaming, but I'm very clearly not. As I focus more on it, it's as if it knows I'm aware of its presence and starts to speed up, heading for the back door. It speeds up rapidly and shoots straight through the door. There were those shitty long white plastic vertical blinds on the door. They fly up violently as if somebody has bolted into the door at full speed. I instantly shoot up from the ground in terror. Cat, which was looking out the back door at the time, sitting between the vertical blinds, flies up the stairs at an incredible speed, obviously very startled. Now I really know it's not just my imagination. I don't sleep the rest of the night and never sleep over at her place again. We moved about a year later to another place. That place was definitely haunted, though. Story has it that an old lady lived in that house for about 40 years and died in that very living area downstairs. The source is from the landlord, who is about 95 years old. The lady who died down there was her best friend.
B18. I live in a small city. It's a hot summer evening. I decided to walk to the next McDonald's for fun. The next McDonald's is around 10 plus kilometers from our city. We have a chilled walk and lots of fun. We eat at McDonald's. We go back after a while. By that time it was already around 9 p.m. or so. The sun is fading, and it starts getting darker as we get closer back to our city. On our way, no one passes our way but a few cars. We live in a really small city, as said, but no people who went by foot. At around 11 p.m., we are close to our home city. We have to pass a very, very dark area where we walk on a street that is surrounded by forests on both sides. It is very dark there. Suddenly, we see something very shiny in the forest to our right, but still ahead of us. What the fuck? We go further down the street, and there we see it. There is a hunter's house. These things are common in Germany. See the thing in the pic I attached. Burning like crazy in the forest, around 50 to 80 meters from us. Damn, man. What the fuck? Why is this burning all over? I see the biggest fire I've ever seen in my life. We both keep standing there and think about what we do now. Dude, if we call the fire brigade, they will believe we did this shit. We are two young kids, and there is no one around in the next 1 to 2 kilometers. If we just leave, this fire might go over to the trees, and the whole fucking forest might burn. We just decide to run away from the scene since the fact that there is no one around in quite a big area, and this house burns like crazy weirds us out so bad. So, How does that whole thing burn while there was no one around in a huge area, in the middle of a forest, and no one would even have a reason to go there at night?
Last summer, my friends got back from traveling and we all go camp out about 50 miles out of town. We find a clearing in the woods and set up tents for the night. We all chatted about our school days until nightfall, and we set up a fire. I fall asleep after a while and wake up in the dark about a few meters from the camp. I see my friends still sitting around chatting. I think they dragged me out of the circle, so I go back to joke about it. "What you talking about, man? We thought that was you over there." They point to a guy standing between two trees. I can't see his face, just an outline of his body. I do a quick head count and get another friend out of the tent. Nobody is missing. No idea who the guy was. Everyone is quiet now and freaking out. We sit there for ages staring. He starts walking away. He wasn't staring at the camp. Whatever it was, he was staring out into the woods the entire time. My best mate picks up a torch and begins running towards the guy. I followed with my other mate. No sign of the guy. He couldn't have hidden behind a tree since they were really thin. It couldn't have been a prank since I found the spot that day, and none of us had planned it. It still scares me to this day. No idea why I was a few meters from camp when I woke up and why the thing was facing towards the woods. Not sure if it was creepy, but that's my only spooky story.
I have one. Be 15 or 16. Just starting to get into night walks. I live in a relatively calm section of Perth, Washington, so I have next to no worries. Listening to some tunes as I crisscross down the streets. The ambience of darkness is nice and relaxing. A few blocks from my house is an old tree that a lot of the neighborhood kids climb. It even has some planks acting as a ladder that some parent has nailed in. I've never heard of anything bad happening there, and it's pleasant enough during the day. I come to the intersection where the tree is, still listening to music. All of a sudden, a branch falls down. I take out my headphones and can hear grunting from up in the tree. I figure some stupid kid is trying to climb, so I get closer and look up. I can just barely make out the shape of what I found out was a girl. The tree's thick canopy was pretty good at blocking the lights from the street nearby. I yell and ask what she's doing. All of a sudden, she stops. I get really freaked out. She tells me to go away. "This ain't your tree?" I ask again, curious. All of a sudden, the street lights turn off, as well as any lights in windows nearby. A total blackout. This was when most of our neighborhood's power was still above ground. There were a bunch of problems before it was made underground a couple of years ago. Still, I was freaked out by something so sudden. This chick was freaked out more. She let out what I can only describe as a banshee scream. Another branch drops near me, and I honestly think for a second that she's just leapt to her death from above. It's a good 5 meters high where she was. I just bolt and run straight home. As soon as I walk in the back door, the power turns back on. I never went back at night. I never saw her again. I fucking hate that tree now.
I live in a small town butted up against Ustranscom Air Force Base. This was 2 years ago. I'm dicking around on my computer. My dad is watching TV in the living room. Suddenly, we hear the loudest jet sound we've ever heard. I mutter, "Jesus Christ, is he going to land on the house or something?" I hear my dad go, "God damn, man." We go back to what we're doing. 20 seconds later, the sound has not changed or faded at all. What the fuck is going on here? We both meet up in the hallway. What the hell is going on? It's been going for 30 seconds. We both step out the front door and out onto the front lawn, where we can see the whole sky, while we still hear the rumbling of a jet right over top of our house. Those who live near a base on the flight line know the sound, the really deep rumble of an aircraft on final approach coming in low directly overhead. We see absolutely nothing in the sky. No jets from horizon to horizon, and the sound stops. Nope.jpg. I post about it on Facebook. A few people who also live in the corner of our town near the Air Force Base also heard it. Nobody ever speaks of it again.
One of these days I'll Greentext this story. Today is not that day. So I'm sitting at the pizza place that all the kids at my college go to since it's open real late at night. I see this Filipino or Asian-looking girl while I'm looking around and make brief eye contact. I continue eating and my mind wanders. All of a sudden I snap back and look up, and she's sitting across from me saying, "Can I sit here?" "Sure," I reply, thinking, she's not very pretty, but maybe I'll make a friend and get some practice talking to girls. She's sitting there just watching me eat for a good minute, at which point I ask her name. She says nothing for a few seconds, then hesitates and says, "Danielle." On her wrist is a tattoo that says, "Death is not the end," and she has some sort of hospital bracelet. She asks how I like the pizza. I reply it's good, but I prefer deep dish to the thin crust they have, which seems to confuse the shit out of her. Then she asks to try it. I give her a piece and ask what she thinks. After not saying anything for 5 seconds or so, she simply mutters, "Good." I asked if she went to our school, and several seconds later, after a blank expression, she says, just visiting." I asked if she was from around here, and she does a similar strange, yes. I ask if she wants more pizza, and she takes another slice without a word. Anything I ask her seems to completely perplex her, as if comprehending human interaction is a massive stress on her brain. She points at the pizza and says, "Pizza? Yeah, it's good. You want more?" She grabs another slice. I eat the last one and go to get a refill. I kept checking over my shoulder, and the manager was definitely also watching her to make sure she didn't fuck with my pizza. The manager is over there by the drink machine and asks, "Everything okay?" And I say, "I think so." I go back. Some guy walks by. She smiles and he says hi. He comments on the hospital bracelet. She goes blank. Then 5 or so seconds later says, "It's one of those," pointing at his rubber bracelet thing, you know, the things some people wear for causes. He says okay and goes to his table with friends. She looks back and starts unzipping her purse. I go into Spidey sense mode, ready to dodge bullets. She pulls out a scarf, puts it on, and just sits there. She reaches for her purse again. Spidey sense again. She zips it up. She says excuse me and walks over and just plops down next to the bracelet guy and his friends without saying anything. I go to leave and say goodbye. I'm at the trash can by the door. She gets up from the table, walks over towards me, and stands a few feet from me as I leave. She watches me out the glass door, then returns to the table. I was shitting bricks the whole walk home, puffing down cigarettes and clutching my knife in my pocket.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.